Greetings fellow cultivators. Welcome to Auto Nova. Remember to like and subscribe to support the journey. Today, we're diving into the story of what's the point of cultivating immortality if you don't have money. The surveillance footage showed that Gong Shujin and Xiong Yu had both arrived at the 463rd floor of the Myriad Laws University City. They entered the gravity simulation room, ready to begin the strength trial. Like the speed trial just now, this trial also tested the students' physical performance after circulating their cultivation techniques. The test was simple to endure under the constantly increasing gravity within the simulation room. Although the content wasn't complex, Xiong knew that the continuous increase in gravity could comprehensively assess the students' physical functions. Because it's passive endurance, it can test the physical functions of the whole body to the extreme. Gong Shujin currently has 3 Dharma skeletons, which should give him a great advantage in this trial. Inside the simulation room, with a disturbance of terrestrial gravitation, both Xiong Yu and Gong Shujin could feel that the formation within the simulation room had been activated. The next moment, as a faint mountain shadow appeared in the air, they saw the words to X gravity in their eye sockets. Looking at the shadow of the mountain, Xiong Yu felt as if it was pressing down on him, making his whole body feel heavy. However, having long been accustomed to the gravity training of the 9 health-suppressing mountain belt, he didn't pay much attention to this mere to X gravity, after temporarily turning off the belt for the exam. Every 10 seconds, Xiong Yu could feel the gravity continuing to increase by 1-fold. As long as the student didn't voluntarily give up and there was no life-threatening danger, the formation wouldn't stop increasing the gravity. After 100 seconds, the gravity on Xiong Yu had increased to 12x. Although he felt his internal organs constantly sinking, and his muscles and bones experiencing waves of pressure, Xiong Yu didn't rush to circulate his cultivation technique, but instead controlled his breathing, trying to conserve his stamina and mana. Gong Shujin, on the other hand, stood calmly in place, feeling the pressure of 12x gravity on his body. On the way to the simulation room, he had conveniently adjusted his Dharma skeletons, replacing the stored cultivation technique with the level 20 body protection technique armored golden body. Another 120 seconds passed, and the gravity on Xiong Yu had reached 24x. With the circulation of mana and a surge of muscles, Xiong Yu had already used the battle demon life erosion art, temporarily increasing his physical strength by 0.5 levels, continuing to resist the increasingly heavy gravity. Anyway, with the reduction effect of the earthwood holy body, coupled with the self-healing of body activation, this level of battle demon life erosion art was almost no burden for Xiong Yu. At the same time, strands of martial Dao Qi also erupted from his body. Upon reaching the foundation establishment stage, with the improvement of physical strength, both mana and martial Dao Qi became more and more integrated with the body, able to better enhance physical performance, just like the martial Dao Qi that Xiong Yu was stimulating at the moment, which supported his body like a layer of armor. On the other side, Gong Shujin first circulated his boiling blood-burning body art. With mana pouring into his bloodstream, his blood surged, and his physical functions greatly increased. Then, he used the level 20 body protection technique, armored golden body, from his spine Dharma skeleton. As mana flowed throughout his body, faint dark golden traces appeared on Gong Shujin's body surface, and he seemed to be covered with a layer of golden armor, greatly increasing his physical strength. Then, he also stimulated his martial Dao Qi. As for the spine Dharma skeleton itself, it brought Gong Shujin powerful support. Feeling that his body was still as stable as Mount Tai, under the pressure of 24x gravity, Gong Shujin glanced at Xiong Yu, whose face was flushed, and thought to himself he's already using the battle demon life erosion art to fight desperately at 24x gravity. It looks like he's almost at his limit. With these thoughts passing through his mind, Gong Shujin continued to resist the increase in gravity. On Xiong Yu's side, as the gravity continued to increase 1-fold after another, he began to allow his flesh, internal organs, blood vessels, and nerves to be squeezed and dragged by the terrifying gravity, allowing all kinds of subtle injuries to appear in his body, and no longer use body activation to heal. At the same time, the battle demon life erosion art gradually increased, from 0.5 levels of physical strength, to 1.2 levels of physical strength. This caused his body to suffer more damage, but it also made the effect of his earthwood holy body stronger and stronger. Not only was the second layer of the earthwood holy body resisting lifespan reduction, but also the various resistance increases of the first layer, allowing him to better resist the increasingly terrifying gravity. And since using number 20 spirit metal secret steel to strengthen himself, Xiong Yu had felt the benefits of his bones being strengthened. Higher strength bones not only bring stronger impact resistance, but also mean that his body can withstand more powerful forces. Bones are like levers in his body. The stronger and more solid they are, the more they can support and amplify his strength. This is true for his own explosive power, but it is also true for withstanding the pressure exerted on him by the outside world. Just like at this moment, when dozens of times the gravity descended, Xiong Yu's skeleton, although it also became heavier, was unharmed, just like the steel bars in a building, supporting his body to stand tall. And the flesh that has been strengthened by the earthwood holy body, the battle demon life erosion art, and the martial Dao Qi is like a layer of cement, both attached to his skeleton and supporting his skeleton. Under the pressure of dozens of times the gravity, Xiong Yu's injuries became more and more serious, but he could feel his body's compressive resistance becoming stronger and stronger, and the limit was being stretched longer and longer. Throughout this process, Xiong Yu's external performance actually looked very strenuous. His face was getting redder and redder, the skin inch by inch as red, as if it were dripping blood. Traces of blood also began to appear in the corners of his eyes, obviously due to internal bleeding under the pressure of gravity. Capillaries all over his body also ruptured in many places, and a large number of subcutaneous hemorrhages with different patterns appeared on the surface of his body. Geng Shujin, who was on the sidelines, initially just looked at Xiong Yu's desperate efforts from a high and mighty position. He's almost done for, right? Is the medical bill really enough? When he saw Xiong Yu bleeding from all 7 orifices, he already felt that the other party was somewhat ignorant. Immortality isn't just about risking your life. If risking your life could win, then what are we earning so much money for? With the support of the Vibra Profound Creations Dharma body, the blessing of a level 20 cultivation technique, the effects of expensive medicines, and a strong physique built with a large amount of spirit coins, Geng Shujin was looking at Xiong Yu's desperate efforts from a condescending perspective, as if watching a clown. However, when Xiong Yu, covered in blood, endured 30 times the gravity, 40 times the gravity, 50 times the gravity, the changes in his emotions were like a roller coaster, from sighing, mocking, astonishment, and finally, turning into a trace of bewilderment. What's going on? How can he endure until now? Is he crazy? Why hasn't he fallen yet? Until Geng Shujin smelled a bloody smell in his mouth and nose, until he felt the internal bleeding churning in his internal organs, and felt the creaking sound of his bones under the unbearable weight. Until he fell to the ground, ended the exam, and the added gravity disappeared from his body. Until Geng Shujin raised his head, looked up at Xiong Yu covered in blood, but like a red giant standing tall and firm, continuing to resist the terrifying 55 times the gravity. The incredulity and incomprehension in Geng Shujin's heart at this moment had reached their limit. He held spirit coins in his hand, came to participate in today's exam with incomparable confidence and absolute strength, and his goal was to surpass Ji Yuanshu. But in this final exam, so inexplicably, so ignorantly, he was left far behind by a poor man from the first level. 60 times the gravity. Geng Shujin exclaimed in his heart, how is this possible? Incredible. Li Shan repeatedly watched the recording of the final exam, still feeling unbelievable. Final score 64 times the gravity. Xiong Yu can actually persevere to this point? This can't be done by simply risking your life. This shows that the limit of his body functions has far exceeded Geng Shujin's. He has achieved this level of body refinement in such a short period of time. Is it because of the field training in the past 3 months? To Li Shan's side, it seems that what he said is true. His physique is very extraordinary, and has strong recovery power. This allows him to recover under the ravages of drugs time and time again, and force out the potential in his body. Director Gao nodded slightly, with a smile on his face. This Xiong Yu is a genius who is willing to risk his life, and is worth cultivating. However, the so-called teaching students, according to their aptitude, his and Geng Shujin's training methods are also different. Geng Shujin has a lot of money and high immortality potential. We charge for his training, and the more we train him, the more we earn. In the future, when he grows up, he will also be able to stand on his own. Although Xiong Yu needs to invest money, he mainly relies on his own desperate efforts, with less investment, faster growth, and higher returns. Talishan on the other side nodded slightly upon hearing this, thinking Zhang Yu's only regret is that his lifespan will be shorter, and his future working years will be less. Director Gao had already laughed heartily as expected. In this era of great change, there will always be dragons and snakes rising from the land. One genius who is willing to risk his life, and one genius who spends money, are both good talents of our civil engineering department. Let the geniuses fight against each other, and let the geniuses inspire each other. Competing with each other, they will surely shine in the future. After saying that, Director Gao waved his hand and said, "Let the background staff calculate the results quickly. I want to see what the latest ranking is. By the way, go and ask ask Zhang Yu to buy some of his body samples." Director Gao planned to ask the professor of the breeding department of Tianyao University whether there was a possibility of mass breeding in Zhang Yu's situation. Outside the examination hall, Zhang Yu checked the results through the Dharma body and found that the results had not yet been released. As for the ranking, it was even further away from the update time at dawn every day. Alas, I can only continue to hold on to this 28th place ranking for the time being. After casually wiping the bloodstains on his body, just as Zhang Yu was about to leave, he suddenly heard Geng Shijin's voice coming from behind. Geng Shijin looked at Zhang Yu and said, "In just 3 months, you actually surpassed me. What exactly did you do in these 3 months? Did you win the lottery? Or did you win money gambling?" Looking at Geng Shijin's bloodshot eyes, Zhang Yu thought for a while and said, "Eat your fill every day, insist on taking lifespan shortening medicine every day, and work overtime for no more than 24 hours a day. Persist for 3 months, and that's it." Seeing that Zhang Yu was about to turn around and leave after speaking, Geng Shijin shouted, "I haven't finished talking to you yet. Where are you going?" Zhang Yu waved his hand and said, "The exam is over. I plan to go to the construction site to work overtime, earn some bonus, and treat myself. Besides, what else can we do if our civil engineering department doesn't go to the construction site to work overtime?" Listening to Zhang Yu's words, Geng Shijin's eyes were filled with disbelief. If eating more life-shortening pills and working more overtime could make someone this strong, why would it be your turn to work overtime? You wouldn't even get a chance if you paid extra. However, Geng Shijin also understood that even if Zhang Yu really had some learning secrets, immortal cultivation experiences, or hidden immortal potential in his head, he naturally wouldn't easily tell him. At the same time, Zhang Yu looked at Geng Shijin and said, "I'm going to work overtime, but if you're willing to pay me more spirit coins, I can stay and continue talking with you." Listening to Zhang Yu's words, Geng Shijin ultimately didn't give him any spirit coins. It wasn't because he couldn't afford it, but because he felt it wasn't necessary. Because after calming down, Geng Shijin quickly realized that Zhang Yu's ability to work so hard was useless to him. His life was much more valuable than the other parties. How could he just throw it away like that? Even if I have money to buy longevity pills, the more I take them, the larger the dose, and the worse the effect. In Geng Shijin's eyes, the longer one extends their life, the higher the cost of the next extension. And when the cost of extending life begins to exceed a cultivator's income, a person's lifespan gradually approaches its end. Natural lifespan has never been the limit for cultivators at each realm. A person's true lifespan limit should be the limit of extension that their own income can afford. Even if Zhang Yu can extend his life in the future, the lifespan he consumes by working so hard will ultimately be consumed. His lifespan limit, income limit, and working years limit will ultimately be reduced. For Geng Shijin, these were all uneconomical things. Having thought through these things, watching Zhang Yu's departing back, Geng Shijin's mind ran his cultivation technique, the level 15 Azure Dragon leaping to Heaven Heart Sutra, constantly awakening his fighting spirit to climb upwards, soar into the sky, and climb to the higher levels of Kung Shu. I have my own path, I just need to follow the steps, accumulate strength, and not risk my life with others because of temporary gains or losses. Making money is the immortal path I want to take. Thinking of this, he had already sent a message to his master, "I lost. The other party, how much money do you need?" Looking at his master's reply, Geng Shijin felt that after this defeat today, not only was he not discouraged, but the fighting spirit and immortal potential within him surged out endlessly. Next time, he will become stronger. Zhang Yu walked on the road to the 666th floor construction site. Feeling the injuries in his body, and checking the various bloodstains on his skin, He thought to himself, the ultimate earth and wood saint body is powerful, but it's still too troublesome to use. Each foreplay is too long, it takes a lot of time just to make me injured, or even weakened. And getting covered in blood is even more troublesome because I have to take a shower and wash my clothes. While thinking, Xiong Yu had already slowly activated the mana in his body, and began to practice some new breathing technique. Heavenly Blessing Longevity Skill Level 13. After completing the Ultimate College Saint Body, and the Earth and Wood Saint Body, Xiong Yu had started practicing breathing techniques again these days, preparing to promote the chain technique diagram set key meridian long flow. The Heavenly Blessing Longevity skill that Xiong Yu was practicing at this moment was one of the breathing techniques of key, meridian, long, flow. However, although this Heavenly Blessing Longevity skill has the word longevity in its name, it does not have the function of extending life, but only uses spiritual energy and mana to nourish the flesh and blood throughout the body during breathing, adding to the body's foundation. Xiong Yu thought, although the past 3 months of cultivation in the wild construction site have improved me quickly, it has almost drained my body. He felt that his body was like an empty shell at the moment. Although it was very powerful, it lacked the foundation to continue to become stronger. After all, Xiong Yu understood that immortal cultivation was never obtained out of thin air. A person's body is like a treasure house, and in the destructive exploitation of various medicines and cultivation techniques in the past 3 months, Xiong Yu has certainly made great progress, but the various medicinal powers, nutrients, energy, etc. that have been accumulated in the body have also been greatly consumed. Next, I have to replenish it more and restore the foundation of my body, otherwise the speed of progress in immortal cultivation may become slower and slower. Whenever he thought of this, Xiong Yu felt that the spirit coins in his account were ready to move, eager to turn into his immortal foundation and merge into his body. Just then, Xiong Yu saw a message flashing on his iPhone. It was Lishan asking him to buy some body materials. Xiong Yu is drawing blood enough. Do you want saliva, seeds, or hair? Lishan, for now, I just need blood. If there are results, I'll ask you to buy other things. Xiong Yu shook his head regretfully. He knew that the other party probably wouldn't be able to measure any results. After all, my potential is reflected in my woolen yushu, which cannot be shown by mere flesh. Just then, Lishan said again, by the way, Director Gao has a high opinion of you, and plans to cultivate you well. Lishan, he will meet you in a few days, think carefully about what you need. A moment later, Xiong Yu had arrived at the 666th floor construction site. But just as he was about to cross the construction site gate, he was suddenly stopped by a voice. Xiong Yu. Xiong Yu turned his head, and saw a security guard with light blue hair walking over. Just as Xiong Yu felt that this security guard looked a bit familiar, he heard the other party say, "It's really you? Don't you remember me? Shangji, from Xiandu." Hearing this, Xiong Yu's eyes moved, and he remembered the other party's identity in his mind. This guy. He was one of the first students from my and Ashun's high school year who passed the foundation establishment exam and obtained the qualification certificate. But I was a sophomore then, and he was a senior, so he entered university a year earlier than me. But Xiong Yu clearly remembered that this person was a lackey under Wang Yin, of the Oasis group. Why didn't he apply to Yuming University and instead went to Wanfu University? Seemingly understanding Xiong Yu's confusion, Shengji smiled slightly and said, "You also know that I followed President Wan for a while when I was on the first level. Although he was indeed good to his subordinates, I could feel that I wasn't very suitable for the atmosphere of Yuming University and the Oasis group, so when I finally applied, I thought about it and still switched to Wanfu University." As a Yandu native, who climbed up from the bottom, Shengji had the awareness to be a lackey, but he understood the first key to being a lackey even better, which was to choose the right master. And in the process of getting along with President Wang, on the first level, he gradually felt that the other party was not a good choice, at least not suitable for him. Listening to Shengji's words, Xiong Yu thought to himself that this kid was quite clever. He looked at the security uniform on the other person's body, as well as the other person's class ranking of 16th on his head. Xiong Yu casually said, "You joined the security department?" "Yes, I'm rotating through different positions this year, responsible for security work in University City." Shengji nodded and said, "You joined the civil engineering department? Then we might have a chance to cooperate in the future." While speaking, Shengji's gaze swept over Zhang Yu's class ranking of 28 on his head, and then looked at the injuries on Zhang Yu's body. He thought to himself, Zhang Yu actually ranked so low. And with these injuries, it seems that his current situation is not very good either. Although Shengji's relationship with the other party wasn't very good, when they were on the first level, when he saw the other party in Wanfa University City, a natural sense of camaraderie arose in his heart. And thinking of his own experiences as a freshman, Shengji sighed somewhat empathetically, looking at Zhang Yu and saying, "It's more difficult for us people from the first level to study here, as freshmen. After all, this is Wanfa University, it's not so easy to slack off." After chatting casually for a few words, Shengji returned to his post, and then heard the security guard next to him say, "That 28th ranked guy, is your fellow townsman? That ranking is much lower than yours." Shengji smiled awkwardly and said, "Maybe he's a little unaccustomed to it." Another colleague laughed and said, "It's good enough to be able to study on the second level. When they graduate and go back to their hometowns, they'll probably all be the cream of the crop down there, right?" Faced with his colleagues' teasing, Shengji could only continue to smile awkwardly, and once again felt the gap in his heart. Whether it's me or Zhang Yu, there's still a huge gap between us and these students from above. It's even more difficult to get into the top ranks of the class. On the other side, after Zhang Yu entered the construction site, he began to work overtime and cultivate as usual. At the same time, his residual ox body and mind technique continued to operate, and the self-healing ability brought about by the activation of his body silently activated, controlling the wounds on his body to gradually heal. Just as Zhang Yu was working overtime silently, many students in the foundation establishment class were waiting for today's ranking update. For example, Yingxin at this moment had already refreshed the class leaderboard several times. Gongshu Jin said that the exam time he applied for was today, so the results will be updated today, right? Looking at the constantly refreshing rankings, Yingxin seemed to see a fierce battle erupting between Gongshu Jin and Ji Yuanshu. Although the two did not fight face to face, Yingxin could still imagine the intensity of the competition between the two. She seemed to be able to see hundreds of spirit coins behind both sides constantly evaporating, turning into terrifying immortal potential that fiercely collided together, all for the sake of competing for the top spot in the class. Just then, Yingxin's eyes moved. It was a message sent by a teacher in the foundation establishment class. Real person Jiao Lei, the grades for everyone in the first semester have been updated. Please check your rankings and summarize your gains this semester. Real person Jiao Lei, everyone. Real person Jiao Lei here. I want to especially praise a classmate whose performance this semester can be described as a qualitative leap. Looking at the entire class ranking sent out by the class teacher, real person Jiao Lei, Yingxin immediately clicked on it. First place, Ji Yuanshu, overall score 1228. Second place, Zhang Yu, overall score 1201. Third place, Gongshu Jin, overall score 1183. Yingxin looked at this ranking in shock, her eyes full of disbelief. Zhang Yu. How could he jump to second place? He actually surpassed Gongshu Jin. And the overall score isn't much different from Ji Yuanshu's? But the next moment, Yingxin seemed to have thought of something, and her eyes flickered slightly. After all, because of that, it's understandable that Ji Yuanshu isn't much higher than Zhang Yu. But the fact that Zhang Yu had surpassed Gongshu Jin and taken second place in the class still made Yingxin extremely puzzled. How much did he earn in the project these 3 months? And thinking that she had missed this project, Yingxin felt heartache, a heartache that seemed to be splitting apart. As real person Jiao Lei mentioned everyone in the class group, Zhang Yu, who was working overtime at the construction site, naturally received the message. However, he was busy pouring concrete and hadn't had time to look at it yet, and then he found that many people had already sent him messages. With a thought, Zhang Yu casually opened one. Li Zhao, brother Yu, congratulations, fireworks. Zhang Yu. Li Zhou, haven't you seen the rankings yet? You're second in the class. Seeing Zhang Yu's unawareness of his ranking, Li Zhao sighed inwardly. Is this what they call maintaining composure in the face of significant events? He didn't even bother to check his ranking immediately after the exam. Stable, he's incredibly stable. Knowing his strength had improved remarkably after the exam, and his grades were about to skyrocket. Yet, he can completely ignore it. This spirit of not being disturbed by external influences is truly amazing. Li Xiao imagined himself in that situation, and he was sure he could never do that. Knowing his grades would be good, he would probably start refreshing the leaderboard as soon as the time came. Meanwhile, in the construction-based class group chat, the class teacher, Jiao Lei, was speaking. Jiao Lei, I want to especially commend student Zhang Yu. Jiao Lei, I still remember that not long after classes started in June, Zhang Yu gradually fell to the middle and lower levels. Jiao Lei, but in just 8 months, he climbed step by step to the second highest level in the class, achieving earth-shattering progress, which is worthy of all students in the class to learn from. Jiao Lei, of course, in addition to him, the top 3 students in the class are all excellent. I have already applied for this semester's scholarship loan for them. Inside the construction site, Zhang Yu's hand mixing concrete unconsciously slowed down. University teachers indeed have unique insights, their evaluation of students is very profound. After saving the screenshots of the class ranking and the teacher's speech, Zhang Yu then looked at the messages from others. Che Yurfei, as a colleague who had been together for 3 months, was actually quite curious about Zhang Yu's final exam results. After all, in his opinion, Zhang Yu, who looked like he was about to die at any moment, still insisted on taking medicine, completely obsessed with going to college. Participating in the final exam in this state. The results will be very bleak, right? Out of curiosity, in the time since he returned, every day after the leaderboard was updated, while refreshing his own ranking, he would also take a look at Zhang Yu's ranking. And today, this one look made his eyes widen, and he exclaimed in his heart, second higher than Gong Shujin, the rich guy in his class who is at the 4th level? This guy. If he can successfully survive until graduation, I can't imagine how high his salary will be. At this moment, Che Yurfei felt like he had seen a rising star in the civil engineering department. After taking a screenshot of the leaderboard, Che Yurfei sent it to Xiong. Look at this Zhang Yu's ranking. Then Che Yurfei thought for a while and sent a message to Zhang Yu. Awesome, you've reached second in the class. In the spirit world. As a soul cultivator student at Fengdu Information Vocational Technical College, Zhao Tianxing's eyes swept over the messages on the platform in front of him. Grass mid. Garbage evaluation. Taking money to whitewash. I wish you bankruptcy tomorrow and be a soul cultivator for the rest of your life. Zhao Tianxing's eyes moved, and he chose to delete the message, the reason being insulting and abusive, and then ban the other party for a month. Huashan Divine Lord highly recommends the course, the latest cultivation technique resources, intimate practice service by dual cultivation monks. Click on my avatar. Zhao Tianxing silently chose to delete it, choosing the reason for illegal marketing, and then permanently ban the other party. Just as a large number of platform messages swept past his eyes like a waterfall, Zhao Tianxing was constantly processing them. Suddenly, a prompt sounded. Zhao Tianxing's heart moved slightly, and he immediately looked over. Since entering the 2nd level, as the various skills of the soul cultivator students continued to improve, Zhao Tianxing gradually integrated them into his daily life. For example, the prompt at this moment was some automated operations he had set himself. There are many specific prompt conditions, including reminders of expiring coupons, reminders of soon-to-be renewed Spirit World services, reminders of wool grabbing on many platforms, and also reminders of changes in some classmates. For example, reminders of changes in the rankings displayed by friends. Zhang Yu is second in the class. So strong. He's so strong even when he's at the 2nd level. Zhao Tianxing was about to send a message, but after thinking for a moment, he first opened the document and started writing. After looking at the version he had written, he struggled for a while, and finally chose the one he thought was the most natural to send. Zhao Tianxing awesome. Just as Zhao Tianxing was about to send a second sentence. In the next moment, a warning message appeared in front of him. Warning: during work hours, it is forbidden to use chat functions unrelated to business. Zhang Yu saw the message from Zhao Tianxing and replied, a little achievement, not worth mentioning. Seeing that the other party didn't reply to him, Zhang Yu didn't mind. After all, soul cultivator students are very busy. Zhang Yu then randomly opened the messages from other people, basically some classmates and some fellow villagers, who had added him as friends, and noticed the change in the ranking. Of course, there were also his good roommates. In the dormitory group, Yu Xing'an said, bro, aren't you going to send a red envelope? Zhang Yu replied, you're 9th in the top 10. You didn't send a red envelope either. Zhang Yu still remembered that when he returned to the dormitory on the first day, Yu Xing'an insisted on pulling him over, asking Zhang Yu to see what was different about him, and then constantly showing off his class ranking of 7th at the time. And Yu Xing'an also remembered that when he first saw the white-haired Zhang Yu, he was glad that he hadn't been selected for the wilderness project. Zhang Yu has been tormented into this state. If I went, wouldn't I not be able to come back? This group of civil engineering students don't treat students as cattle and horses, they're using them as soul cultivator students, right? But seeing Zhang Yu rush to second place in one breath today, Yu Xing'an had to admit that the past 3 months had indeed been a huge gain for him. However, watching Zhang Yu recover day by day this past week, Yu Xing'an understood that he really couldn't learn that. Yu Xing'an thought to himself, this physique is too abnormal. At the same time, Le Moulin also popped up in the dormitory group. What happened? Jiang Yu quickly sent out the class ranking and Jiao Li's screenshot, but didn't see Le Moulin's response. Zhang Yu at Le Moulin. Le Moulin forwarded the screenshot to her brother Le Jingchen and said, Jiang Yu has made great progress, can you just raise its price? Seeing Zhang Yu at herself, Le Moulin quickly replied, Zhang Yu, you're so awesome, when are you coming back to the dormitory? Zhang Yu working overtime, probably in the morning. At this moment, Jiang Pian also appeared, but she didn't speak in the dormitory group, but instead sent a private message. I secretly watched your exam recording, you acted very well, just that you could have faked a little more blood next time. Jiang Pian desperate effort is a good cover, and you controlled your score well. Second place is a good position, after all, taking first place is too high profile. Looking at his sister's message, Zhang Yu thought, no, I really did try my best. In the blink of an eye, a night passed, and after working all night, Zhang Yu's body had recovered more than half. This remnant ox body and mind art is really too useful. I wonder where I can find the same set of chain diagrams. While walking on the road out of the construction site, Zhang Yu felt that the ranking on his head became more vivid and eye-catching. All the way, he could occasionally see workers being attracted by the ranking on his head and then looking at him with a respectful gaze. The key refinement students retreated one by one, fearing that they might accidentally block his path. Even some senior civil engineering students nodded slightly to him when their eyes met. Zhang Yu sighed in his heart, Fuji, this university ranking does have its merits, making people more respectful of each other. Fuji cursed in her heart, when she heard this. You didn't say that before, you little rascal. However, thinking of Zhang Yu's performance in this final exam, Fuji was also secretly shocked. This kid Zhang Yu, every time I feel that his talent is already shocking, he can always show even more incredible aspects. As someone who has been by Zhang Yu's side 24 hours a day, and even witnessed Zhang Yu's process of rewarding himself, Fuji deeply understood Zhang Yu absolutely did not have this kind of physique to casually take life-shortening pills before. I always feel that this guy seems to be secretly getting stronger in places I don't know, but I have been with him all the time. What's going on? Could it be a reincarnation of an immortal? Impossible. How can the reincarnation of an immortal be so poor? How can anyone be reincarnated to the first level? Just as Zhang Yu was sighing and leaving the construction site, Shangji at the entrance of the construction site was slightly stunned when he saw him. Shangji looked at the ranking on Zhang Yu's head and murmured, second in the foundation building class. Zhang Yu is actually second in the foundation building class. Yesterday, could it be that he just took the exam yesterday, so the ranking was updated in the middle of the night? Just as Shangji was shocked, feeling Zhang Yu's gaze, he subconsciously nodded towards him, signaling to each other. At this moment, a security guard student next to him said, isn't that your classmate? Only half of the words were spoken, before, they were suppressed in his throat. The ranking of second in the foundation building class on Zhang Yu's head seemed to carry a substantial pressure, tightly blocking the throats of the security guards. They understood that someone who could get second place in the foundation building class was definitely not an ordinary person. Respectfully watching Zhang Yu leave, the security guards immediately surrounded Shengji and asked curiously, is he really from your first level? Back in the dormitory, after taking his morning medicine and changing his clothes, Zhang Yu prepared to go to class as usual. Although the final exams for the first semester had just ended, the second semester was coming up next. From March onwards, until the final exams for the second semester in August, the entire freshman year would be completely over. Today, when Zhang Yu walked into the classroom, he could feel many eyes looking over. At the same time, Li Zhao waved to him, and you Xiong brother, you. There are seeds here. Class, blood draw, cultivation in the blink of an eye. A day passed. That night, Zhang Yu opened the communication connection with Bai Zhenjin, as usual, and heard her say, "Not bad, Yuzi, second in the class." Zhang Yu smiled triumphantly, and then said, "This result can be barely considered worthy of my efforts." Bai Zhenjin said, "Mom sent you some more meat. Your body is deficient now, you need to replenish it more. Also, when are you going to fix your hair? White hair is aging, it makes you look old and poor, and it's easy for people to look down on you." I know. Zhang Yu looked at the dress on Bai Zhenjin, and asked curiously, "Zhen, are you attending an event?" Bai Zhenjin nodded yes, the opening ceremony of the Top 10 League. This year's Top 10 League is held at Tianjin University, I'm just here to take a look. Listening to Audio Nova. Hearing Bai Zhenjin's words, Zhang Yu's heart stirred slightly. The 10 Great Leagues. This wasn't the first time he'd heard those words, but Zhang Yu, who had been buried in his studies and construction work, still didn't know much about this league. In his shallow understanding, it seemed to be a competition belonging to university students. But looking at the dress Bai Zhenjin was wearing at this moment, and the opening ceremony she mentioned, Zhang Yu realized that he might have underestimated the importance of this 10 Great Leagues before. Bai Zhenjin seemed to be able to guess the doubts and curiosity in Zhang Yu's heart, and explained the 10 Great Leagues as a competition that only undergraduate students from the top 10 universities can participate in. And among them, the most valued and most regarded is the military competition. The military competition evolved from the earliest 10 great martial arts competitions, and currently includes military skills competitions and military exercise competitions. Listening to Bai Zhenjin's explanation, Zhang Yu gradually gained a deeper understanding of these 10 Great Leagues. In one military competition after another, the contestants and teams from various universities will showcase the cutting-edge immortal technology of their respective schools and companies. This is not only a promotional exhibition of immortal technology, but also a display of force by various universities. It can be said that the results of each year's 10 great competitions have a significant impact on the development of various technical fields in the coming year, investment directions, research goals, and even the enrollment situation of the top 10 universities, the stocks of universities and companies, and the distribution of interests in various regions. By Zhenjin's side, the 10 Great Leagues not only has a great impact on various fields, but also has a great impact on the contestants themselves. Excellent performance in the competition, showing talent, and even winning a place, can not only gain the favor of the company and obtain excellent work, but also is very important in future postgraduate and doctoral examinations. And if you can step onto the peak, win the first place in all individual military competitions, and win the Grand Slam, then you are truly the strongest undergraduate among the top 10. Speaking of this, Bai Zhenjin's eyes lit up, and Zhang Yu felt as if stars were shining in them. Standing in the position of the top 10 strongest, you will be granted the right to use an immortal sect level cultivation technique. Of course, after this, you will not be able to participate in the 10 great competitions again. Hearing Bai Zhenjin's words, Zhang Yu's eyes also lit up. Cultivation techniques are divided into 5 levels: basic, advanced, expert, military, and immortal sect. Since high school, the cultivation techniques Zhang Yu often used were almost all expert level. It wasn't until his 3rd year of high school that, after a desperate struggle and a stroke of luck, he mastered the pre-military level cultivation technique, 9 Heavens Cloud Void Force, as well as the complete version of the Remnant Bull Sacrifice Heart Sutra, which was close to the military level. As for the current real military level cultivation techniques of Kongshu, he hasn't had the opportunity to come into contact with them, but he saw Mo Xiangjin, a senior, use the military level cultivation technique, Heavenly Kunlun Moving Mountain Divine Power, on the wild construction site, which left a deep impression on his mind. The gap between military level cultivation techniques and expert level cultivation techniques is indeed like heaven and earth. It feels like they are things of different dimensions. Zhang Yu couldn't help but think, how powerful would an immortal sect level cultivation technique be? Bai Zhenjin continued, Yuzi, an immortal sect level cultivation technique is not only useful in university or just in the foundation establishment stage. As long as you continue to cultivate this technique, it will have huge advantages in the golden core and nascent soul stages. After all, even nascent soul true monarchs don't have the right to use immortal sect level cultivation techniques. Bai Zhenzhen said excitedly, as long as you can have the right to use an immortal sect-level cultivation technique, you can become the top person in the university, standing high above the sky in the envious and jealous eyes of countless students. Becoming an existence they can only look up to. The university will cultivate us more frantically, and companies will line up to invest money in us. Countless doctoral supervisors will let us choose. Bai Zhenzhen clenched her fists, her cheeks flushed, and said with a look of excitement, we will be recommended for a doctorate with a body full of glory, trophies, and spirit coins. Yuzi, don't you want to walk to the top of the university food chain, trample those rich students who come from above under your feet, insult them wantonly, and finally become the undergraduate emperor who is recommended for a doctorate? Listening to Bai Zhenzhen's words, Zhang Yu felt as if he had seen himself walking towards the peak, admired by thousands of people, and his body felt a little hot. What you said makes my blood boil. Zhang Yu nodded, also clenched his fists, and said slowly, yes, of course I want to. Bai Zhenzhen said with a smile, then Yuzi, let's make a promise. Bai Zhenzhen stretched out her palm towards him. Let's participate in the 10 great leagues together, in the future, and see who wins the strongest throne first. Looking at Bai Zhenzhen's outstretched palm, Zhang Yu vaguely seemed to see Bai Zhenzhen, who had once promised to be admitted to the top 10 universities with him. And this time, facing Bai Zhenzhen's invitation, facing a more difficult and more impossible challenge, Zhang Yu also stretched out his palm without hesitation. Again, then we have an agreement, see you at the 10 great leagues. So, across the spirit world network, Zhang Yu and Bai Zhenzhen's palms joined together. Although there was no physical contact, at this moment, both of them felt that they could cross the spirit world network, feel the life beating from each other's body, and feel the infinite fighting spirit from each other's eyes. After disconnecting, Zhang Yu looked at Zhang Pianpian beside him and asked curiously, Sister Senior, how do you participate in the top 10 league? Zhang Pianpian said indifferently, students in the top 10, whose realm is within the foundation establishment stage, can participate through the school's selection process. Under normal circumstances, generally only the top 10 students in each department have the opportunity to participate. Just as Zhang Yu felt that this requirement wasn't particularly difficult, he heard Zhang Pianpian continue, if you're talking about the military competition within the top 10 league, then there's another requirement, which is to possess a military-related qualification, certificate, and master the power of military-grade techniques. Looking at Zhang Yu's surprised appearance, Zhang Pianpian smiled slightly and said, military competition, isn't it normal to require military-grade power? However, it's said that the requirements weren't so high in the past, but over time, the requirements for any competition will always get higher and higher. Zhang Yu thought to himself, military-grade techniques. The military-grade techniques of the civil engineering department require ranking first in the class for 7 years, but I want to change departments, so I can only consider the military-grade techniques of the weapon refining department. While Zhang Yu was pondering, Fuji was searching through the spirit realm network, thinking to herself, winning all the individual events in the military competition, and taking the title of top 10 strongest. Hasn't anyone done this in decades? Immortal level techniques are not so easy to obtain. The water here is unfathomably deep. However, participating in the top 10 league and winning some rankings is indeed a good thing. Bai Zhenzhen probably just wants to encourage Zhang Yu. Then, Fuji changed her mind and thought, but speaking of which, I've talked to Bai Zhenzhen so many times, but I haven't seen what her current ranking is at Tianjin University. Is she deliberately not revealing it? At the same time, Zhang Pianpian looked at Zhang Yu and thought to herself, top 10 league. With my little brother's growth rate, in a few years, maybe he can really participate in the team competition with me. If I can get a good ranking, I should be able to drag it out and study for a postgraduate degree or even a doctorate, instead of reporting to the divine department immediately after graduating with a bachelor's degree. In the following days, Zhang Yu continued his daily routine of studying, working overtime, and cultivating. This evening, as the spiritual energy in his body surged and continuously dispersed into his limbs and bones, nourishing his entire flesh, the heavenly blessing longevity technique he cultivated was finally pushed to level 20. The level 20 heavenly blessing longevity technique can fully absorb spiritual energy to nourish the physical body without refining mana, greatly increasing the efficiency of this technique in nourishing the physical body. But in Zhang Yu's opinion, this effect was still too slow. requiring a slow and steady effort to gradually strengthen the foundation and cultivate the origin. How can this keep up with Kongshu? How can this keep up with the pace of the top 10? Compared to slowly practicing, it's better to eat more tonics and health products. Early in the morning, Zhang Yu returned to the dormitory from the construction site. Seeing the package at the dormitory door, he knew that the things he had ordered had arrived. He picked up the package, opened the door, and walked in, only to see Yu Xing'an suddenly turn around with a bang, constantly pulling up his pants. Yu Xing'an said angrily, "You freaking! Don't you know how to knock? Don't you have any respect as a roommate?" Zhang Yu snorted coldly and shouted, "Don't you know how to go out? Can you go to a deserted place below the 100th floor to take care of it? Who exactly is disrespecting this dormitory?" Yu Xing'an said unconvincingly, "You kid. Don't think I don't know what you and Lemulin have done in the dormitory." "Ah," Zhang Yu said somewhat awkwardly, "don't change the subject." Yu Xing'an said, "HMPH, you secretly make money without bringing your brothers along. I supported you so much in high school and spent so much money on you." Zhang Yu said, "Didn't I repay you? If I hadn't introduced you to Red Pagoda, you might have sterilized yourself a second time. How could you have increased your immortal foundation and achieved seed freedom, like you did later?" Outside the dormitory door, Lemulin, who had just returned from working overnight at the pharmaceutical factory, opened the door and heard the conversation between Zhang Yu and Yu Xing'an. Listening to the content of their conversation, a hint of embarrassment appeared on her face. Originally, she thought that what she and Zhang Yu had done was secretive enough, but she didn't expect that Yu Xing'an still knew about it. How did he know? Lemulin couldn't help but think, "I definitely didn't reveal anything." But soon she suppressed this distracting thought and thought of another question. "It seems that I can only make appointments with Zhang Yu to do it outside next time, otherwise it will be very troublesome if it is discovered. Knowing that I only let Zhang Yu make extra money will easily damage the relationship with my roommates." Lemulin understood very well that whether it was on the first or second floor, in high school or university, making money without friends was very likely to become a fuse for conflict. At the same time, Chuan Ji stood beside Lemulin, listening to the voices coming from inside the room, and a thoughtful look flashed across his face. They've known each other since high school. They've been increasing their immortal foundation since high school. Chuan Ji's eyes couldn't help but narrow. High school, on the first floor, is so free. And it seems the relationship between people is indeed more complicated with four-person cultivation than with dual cultivation. Who cultivated with whom a few times, who cultivated more with whom, who cultivated less with whom, who lost money this month, who made money, all involve complex four-person cultivation relationship dynamics. Noticing Lemulin's arrival, Zhang Yu was too lazy to argue with Yu Xing'an any further. He quickly pulled Lemulin inside and unpacked the newly bought package in front of her. "Lemulin, you've come at the right time. Help me check if there's anything wrong with these tonics, and if they're genuine. I'll also give you some of my mana. Whoever that is, close the door and wait outside." Chuan Ji looked at Zhang Yu's ranking of second in the foundation establishment class and said with a smile, "All right." He closed the dormitory door for them and waited outside, thinking that his relationship with Zhang Yu was getting better and better. It had gone from "Why are you still here?" to "Close the door and wait outside." He wondered when it would become "Come up and give me a hand." Thinking of this, Chuan Ji couldn't help but curl the corners of his mouth slightly, feeling that he was getting closer and closer to his goal. "That's right, step by step, I'll enter this dormitory. I must seize the time." Chuan Ji understood that although they were still in the key refining class, they would officially transfer to the foundation establishment class next semester. At that time, Lemulin's innate frost, mana, would, inevitably, attract the attention of the foundation establishment students in the class, and perhaps they would line up to ask her for dual cultivation. Then they will discover Lemulin's dormitory, discover this place. Chuan Ji thought to himself, "I must move into this dormitory before the official transfer next semester. Start my 5 cultivation university life. Get on the fast track of cultivation." At the same time, inside the dormitory, Zhang Yu pressed his palm against Lemulin's back, slowly transferring his high-quality mana to her. Looking at her Tao seed, Zhang Yu secretly estimated, to activate and copy Lemulin's deep frost veins, I need to increase the quality of her mana to more than 150%. Lemulin's current mana quality is probably around 105%. with her own cultivation, plus me injecting mana into her every day, it should be possible to complete it before the end of this semester. On the other side, Lemulin opened the package and checked the tonics Xiong you had bought online one by one, nodding slightly and saying, "No problem, they are all genuine. This prescription should be suitable for your body. It can help you strengthen your foundation, enhance your physical foundation, and make up for deficiencies." Zhang Yu nodded slightly upon hearing this, thinking that it was quite good to have a roommate studying medicine. In terms of buying and taking medicine, he had avoided a lot of detours. After all, the field of medicine, especially tonics and health products, was too complex. On the other side, Lemulin thought to herself, eating these can also improve the quality of feather juice, right? If the quality of feather juice is higher, Lemulin believes that both she and Zhang Yu will definitely earn more. Especially with Zhang Yu bravely winning second place in the foundation establishment class, it has once again attracted the company's attention. Thinking of this, in order not to attract other people's attention, she privately messaged Zhang Yu using her iBone. Zhang Yu then saw the message sent by Lemulin appear in his iBone. "Lemulin, when will you be free next time?" Zhang Yu replied, "In a couple of days, I'll take some medicine to replenish myself." Lemulin glanced subconsciously at Xiong beside her and replied, "Okay, let's do it outside next time. It's not good if Xiong finds out." "Zhang Yu, I'll find a place where no one is around and take you there then." "Lemulin, do you really want my mana quality to be higher?" Lemulin could feel that Zhang Yu was always seizing the time to inject mana into her whenever he had the chance. "Zhang Yu, yes." Seeing the other party's affirmative reply, Lemulin's eyes were thoughtful. "Does he dislike that my current mana quality is too low? Then I'll invest more money in this next." Just as Zhang Yu and Lemulin were silently discussing, Xiong, who was closing his eyes and meditating, snorted coldly in his heart. Looking at Lemulin's subtle glancing movements with his three-eyed divine power, Xiong thought to himself, "Are these two guys secretly chatting about something they don't want me to know in front of me? Really, we're in the same dormitory, yet they're playing tricks on me. When my video becomes popular, I'll shock you guys hard." Just as Zhang Yu was busy, traveling back and forth between the classroom, construction site, and dormitory, Director Gao was watching the reports sent by the breeding department professor from Tianyao University. Looking at Zhang Yu's blood test results, Director Gao thought to himself, "What a pity, his physique is not related to genetics, so he can't be bred. Alas, he's just a genius. It's difficult to develop into a mass-produced new technology." In the long history of Kongshu, geniuses have emerged endlessly, and various special physiques have appeared in various eras. It's just that some physiques have had their mysteries researched and applied to immortal Dao technology. Some physiques have always been unsolved mysteries, and even the immortal Dao technology of the top 10 universities has failed to unlock their secrets. In comparison, a genius who cannot be mass-produced in Director Gao's eyes, the value is obviously far less than the technology that can mass-produce geniuses. As for researching the mysteries of Zhang Yu's physique, even if I invest a few thousand spirit coins, I may not be able to get any results. Director Gao understood that the human body, as the foundation of the immortal Dao, still has too many mysteries that have not been fully researched. Without the investment of massive resources and the support of the sect, no one can guarantee that their research will definitely produce results. As the deputy director of the civil engineering department, Director Gao is not an expert in physique, so naturally he is even less interested in investing in it. At this moment, Talishan's avatar lit up in Director Gao's iBone. "Talishan, Director," I asked, and Ji Yuansha did indeed take the professional course exam in the finance department and got full marks in everything. Director Gao snorted coldly, seeing that he only got a passing grade in the professional courses of the civil engineering department. I knew that this kid didn't take these things to heart at all. He was studying the professional courses here, while also taking the professional courses of the finance department, and he put most of his mind there. Looking at the 27-point difference between Ji Yuanshu, the first place in the foundation establishment class, and Zhang Yu, the second place, Director Gao understood that this was not the real gap between the two, but only because Ji Yuanshu's professional course grades were too poor, that Zhang Yu was so close to him. Talishan also sighed secretly in his heart when he saw this. I originally thought that even if Gong Sunjin lost to Ji Yuanshu, he wouldn't be too far behind. I didn't expect it to be like this. It seems that those guys have invested a lot of resources in Ji Yuanshu. Director Gao said coldly. Those pacifists sent their disciples to the finance department, and in the end, they still want to go in the direction of finance. They're not satisfied with just lying on the construction site and making money, they want even higher profits. Xiong didn't speak, but he understood what Director Gao meant. The civil engineering department of Wanfa University is not a monolithic entity. Director Gao and many of his disciples believe that the scale of the university war will continue to expand, and they should increase investment in the military direction and actively participate in various military constructions in order to actively change for future market changes. The master-disciple faction headed by another director believes that the university war has always been within a controllable range, and they are more willing to continue to invest resources in commercial real estate and create more pharmaceutical factories to serve the upper class. In Xiong's perception, the root dispute between the two sides has become more and more intense in recent years, from the original competition between teachers to the competition between senior students, and even to the competition between junior students today. Xiong thought to himself, after all, behind the two factions, there are also different companies, involving competition in the fields of magic bones, magic treasures, medicines, and finance. The department's annual revenue, the quality of projects, and the future talent reserve will all affect the company's stock price. Even the students' grades and rankings in each grade and faction, as a reflection of the future talent reserve, will have an impact on stock price fluctuations. According to what Xiong knew, the pacifist director had already connected with a director from the finance department and planned to invest a lot of resources in it. Shu, as the other party's disciple, has extraordinary significance in agreeing to transfer to the finance department in the future. Xiong thought to himself, Director Gao probably doesn't want these two sides to join forces. But the finance department, alas. The finance department, as one of the three trump card majors of Wanfa University, is, in Xiong's view, the trump card of the three trump cards. The finance department emphasizes the luck of humanity, the grand trend, and uses the power of humanity to improve cultivation and perform Taoist techniques. Wealth, resources, and connections are also their means of guiding the trend of humanity. In Xiong's heart, those guys in the finance department are extremely sensitive to the trend of humanity, never making a loss-making deal, and always steadily occupying the top position in every ebb and flow. Whether it is investing thousands or tens of thousands of spirit coins to easily revive an industry, or a sanction or an agreement that brings a university to the brink of collapse, behind it is the grasp of the luck of humanity. It can be said that the grand trend is in their hands. Could it be that even they think that the university war will not expand and Wanfa will not end up on the field this time? At this moment, Director Gao suddenly asked, "Do you think Gongxinjin and Zhang Yu can beat Shu in the next 2 years?" Xiong thought for a moment and shook his head helplessly. "I'm afraid it's extremely difficult." "It is indeed very difficult, so we should try our best." Director Gao said lightly, "Let Zhang Yu come over tomorrow. I'll talk to him about the next arrangement." Xiong nodded. He knew that the competition between the two major factions had already started in various places. The competition between Gongxinjin, Zhang Yu, and Shu was just one aspect of it. Even if the winning rate was not high, they would not give up easily. The next day, after receiving the notice from Xiong, Zhang Yu followed Xiong to the civil engineering department's teaching building after school and met Director Gao. Zhang Yu's eyes swept over the for big characters building the world on Director Gao's Taoist robe, and he couldn't help but look more at the other party's exposed hands and neck. According to rumors, this Director Gao had more than 300 magic bones all over his body, but Zhang Yu found that he couldn't see any of them at all when he looked closely at this moment. Director Gao looked at Zhang Yu and asked straight to the point, "What are your plans for the future?"